Okay, so the FX5 came out, and I feel like I have to talk about it. The million-dollar question that everyone's been asking is it worth it? For someone like me, the answer is no. If you're aspiring to be a full-time filmmaker making feature films, absolutely. I think it's definitely worth your money. Here is why. As a wedding and event shooter, I need the capabilities to do photo and video. The FX5 could only shoot video, but the amount of features that it has is something that, compared to the Sony Burano, which is $25,000, but the FX5 is only $5,500. On top of that, if you already have the FX3, I don't think the FX5 is going to make you a better filmmaker. I don't think it's going to challenge you more. It just gives you more tools to use. But as a wedding videographer and photographer, if you already have the FX3, you for sure don't need the FX5 because it doesn't give you more features that will improve your workflow or the quality of your work. Instead of getting an FX5, what I'm doing personally is I'm buying another A7 IV. If we're comparing the A7 IV to the FX5, there are a lot of features that we have to talk about. The first thing that you should consider when comparing the A7 IV to the FX5 is the ISO. The base ISO of the A7 IV is 800 and 8000, while the base ISOs of the FX5 is 800, 4000, and 12800. But if you compare that to something like the FX3 has base ISOs of 800 and 12800. So when you compare the FX5 to the FX3, you're not getting a larger base ISO for the FX5, but instead you're just getting a middle point. And that middle point, to me, is not that important because I know how to denoise in post. But more importantly, when you denoise in post with the A7 IV, the A7 IV has 33 megapixels compared to the FX5, which has 16 megapixels. And the more megapixels that you have, the more finer the noise, and the more finer the noise, the more you can denoise it in post. This can do what the FX5 does in low light performance, in my opinion, especially if you know how to denoise in post. The next thing I want to talk about is the IBIS in the FX5. Now, the FX5 doesn't have a different IBIS. It has the exact same IBIS in the A7 IV. You get 3 stops. You have standard IBIS, you have active IBIS, and then you have dynamic active IBIS. And in both cameras, the dynamic active IBIS punches in 1.5 times. When that happens, you're getting a less quality of an image in both cameras. But again, you can't shoot raw video with dynamic active IBIS with the FX5. When you're shooting in RAW with the FX5, you're also using twice as much data, which means you need twice as much storage, which I don't know if you've heard, but the storage with the changing times has gone up in price. I think I've watched SSDs triple in price over the past year and a half. But the biggest thing with the FX5 that everyone's raving about is the fact of shooting RAW and shooting in OpenGate. When you shoot in OpenGate, you have to shoot in RAW, which again is twice as much storage. But that just gives you a little bit more headroom and a little bit more foot room for your image. Now, personally, I would never use a 3:2 aspect ratio for a wedding or an event. However, it would be kind of cool to use it for social media. But you don't need it for social media. Just twist the camera and shoot like this. In my opinion, every shooter should be shooting with a purpose and with a vision in mind. On top of that, when you're shooting 4K in the A7 IV, you're downsampling from 7K, which means you get a sharper 4K compared to 5K in the FX5. It's really not that big of a difference, and 99% of people can't even tell the difference between 4K and 5K to begin with. Another cool thing that the FX5 offers is a bigger screen, false colors, and a heavier price point. The A7 IV, I believe, goes for $2,800, and the FX5 goes for somewhere around, I think, $5,500. But the one gripe that I will have over the A7 IV compared to the FX5 is the rolling shutter. The rolling shutter, if you don't know what it is, it's like the wibbly wobbly effect that you get from when you're doing fast pans for shots. However, if you use something like the FX3 and you're doing a whip pan, or the FX5 and you're doing a whip pan, you don't get that wibbly wobbly effect because of the global shutter. Now, in my opinion, as a wedding videographer, I don't do a ton of whip pans like it happens, and I shoot handheld, so you think it would be a problem. But personally, the A7 IV kills it, and I love every part of this camera when it comes to shooting a wedding day. If I want to shoot in the rain or snow, this camera will be fine. If I were to take something like the FX5 or even the FX3 for that matter out into the rain or snow, this has fans on the side, and when these fans fill up with water or snow, guess what? This camera is toast. It's done. It's dead. You're not gonna revive it. To me, as a wedding and event shooter, the A7 IV is just better than the FX5. But I do believe the FX5 fits on feature film sets and not weddings and events. For me, I see cameras as tools. You wouldn't take a screwdriver to hammer in a nail, and you wouldn't take a hammer to screw in a screw. Every tool has a job and a purpose in which it fulfills. The A7 IV is my go-to wedding and event camera. Every other camera on the shelf fits in the category of commercial, weddings, events, and then creative work. Figure out what you like to shoot and then get the correct tool from there. Now, if for any reason I transition from weddings over to feature films, I'm absolutely getting the FX5. But at the moment, I have zero plans on getting the FX5. What do you guys think? Do you think the FX5 is worth it? Does it fit in your workflow? If it does, what does your workflow look like if you have an FX5? Let me know down in the comments.